In this video, we're going to start working with imported surfaces. Let's begin by opening up a step file named imported surfaces included with this lesson. For the context of this example, it doesn't matter which template you select. The first thing SOLIDWORKS is going to prompt us to do is to run import diagnostics. Let's say yes and take a look at what SOLIDWORKS can do for us. When you run import diagnostics on a converted file, an import step file or an IGES file, SOLIDWORKS is going to analyze the model and try to fix any problems. You'll notice that there are gaps between faces in this model. SOLIDWORKS has found 4 open edges. If we select Attempt to Heal, SOLIDWORKS will go through and patch that area for us. Now this might seem like a great thing at first, but there are several times when these automatic patches are going to hurt you more than they'll help you. So it's important that you know what SOLIDWORKS has done, how you can manually fix it, and how you can analyze the differences between all the options. So we're going to take a look at all those options today. Once we OK import diagnostics and rotate the model around, you can see that there's definitely a difference between that patch surface that was created. To take a closer look at this, let's right-click on one of the command managers such as Mold Tools and turn on our Evaluate tab. On the Evaluate tab, we want to take a look at the curvature of this model. Now the colors are going to signify the radius of curvature. Now you'll notice that the blue section is fairly consistent on either side of our patch. But you'll notice on the patch, we have a blue section in the center in a diamond shape. We have sort of a green area in all 4 corners. What's happening here is this patch is taking the curvature of the surrounding area, but it's ending up with an issue at all the edges. So this is not going to be ideal for what we're doing. So we need to know how to analyze this and also undo it. So rather than re-import this model, we're going to go to our Surfaces tab and we're going to go to Delete Face. We're going to select the face we want to delete, and we're going to take a look at the options we have. We can simply delete the face. We can delete and patch. This patch is going to be identical to what import diagnostics just did for us. Or we can delete and fill. Delete and fill with a tangent fill is going to be the best option here. So we're going to go ahead and try that and take a look at the result. Now instantly when we rotate this thing around, everything looks great. Everything's nice and smooth, and it looks like we've created a nice patch on our surface. But don't be fooled just yet. You want to make sure you still analyze this to be sure that you know the curvature that's going into your model. So back on the Evaluate tab, we're going to take a look at the curvature and see what we have. Now, even though in the model window everything looked great, once we take a look at the radius of curvature, you'll notice that there's a slight difference as we go along this edge when we created that patch. While this doesn't show up instantly in your modeling window, that could be simply a result of the graphics or some of the performance settings you have. What we want to do here is delete this and try to get a more accurate representation of the surface that was omitted when we imported our model. So again, I'm going to turn off curvature analysis, go back to surfaces, and delete that face one more time. This time I want to delete it for good and I want to manually patch this. To get a better idea of what we're looking at, we're going to turn on shaded with edges. So you can see right now we have a surface body with that patch omitted. So let's take a look at the options that Mold Tools has for us. On our Mold Tools toolbar, we have a Filled Surface option. So let's go ahead and select that. By right-clicking on any of the open edges, you have the option to select Open Loop. Once we do that, we want to take a look at the options inside our Filled Surface properties. We have the option to Apply to All Edges, Optimize Surface, Show Preview, and Preview Mesh. If you deselect any of these options, you can see what happens on the screen. So we're going to leave Optimize Surface, we're going to leave Show Preview, and we're going to leave a Preview Mesh on. With Apply to All Edges selected, you want to change Contact to Tangent. This will perform a tangent relation on all edges of this boundary. Let's select OK and take a look at what we have. Let's go back to our Evaluate tab, turn on the curvature. So you can instantly see that there's still an issue at these boundaries. It's taking the curvature along this edge, and it's actually carrying it farther into the surface. Now again, this is not what we want. We do not want to have any ripple in our curvature when we're creating this part. This is especially important if you're molding this part. So I'm simply going to hide the surface and we're going to try one more trick to patch this. From our Surfaces tab, I'm going to use a boundary surface. For my direction 1, I'm going to select the open edge on the left-hand side and then the open edge on the right-hand side. This is basically a to and a from for the surface we're creating. For my direction 2, I'm going to select the open edges along the green edge when we're talking about our curvature. Now this is the important part of the boundary surface. We're going to again go back and apply a tangency to face, But under our tangency influence, we're going to drag this all the way to 100%. This is an option that's unique in our boundary surface. For our direction 2, we're also going to apply a tangency to face. And again, for that influence, we're going to drag this to 100%. Let's OK this and take a look at what we have. Back to our Evaluate tab, we're going to take a look at the curvature. Now, instantly we can see that this is a much better result. We were able to patch this and carry that curvature all the way across the part. Now for a final result, this is what we want to look at. Now I want to show you how to turn this into a solid. From our Mold Tools toolbar, we can knit the surfaces together. We can take that new boundary surface, we can knit it with the surrounding surfaces. As soon as you've selected surfaces that create a closed profile, you have this try to form a solid option. Now this is great and this is exactly what you want to do. But if for some reason you forget to try to form a solid, such as now, we can go back to our Surfaces tab, we can apply a Thicken and select the surface. Now you'll notice there's an option in the Thicken to create solid from enclosed volume. You will only get this option if you're dealing with an enclosed volume that could have already created a solid. So that's two separate ways to turn this into a solid model. We can take a section view of this and make sure that we actually are dealing with a solid. So now we've looked at several different ways to create a patch on a surface that was imported and missing the geometry. And we also looked at how to evaluate those surfaces to make sure that we're getting the proper result.